Okay, so we've spent a lot of time working with our particles, our bowl, our spoon, our cup. What I want to do now is I want to design a room and a table for our bowl, cup, and spoon to sit in. Because right now, if I take a picture, it's actually a really boring picture. Okay, there's not a whole lot of interest. I need to create a scene, something that I can import my cereal box into as well. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a table. Creating a table, really, really simple. I grab a polygonal cube, stretch it out, squash it down. I want to make this the approximate size of a table. If you want to do a round table or a square table or whatever, doesn't matter to me. Just as long as you have some sort of a realistic looking table. That might be a little thick. I'm going to squash down a little right there. Okay, so this is my, for all intents and purposes, this is going to be my table. I'm going to add some details later that's going to smooth it out. But before I do that, I want to go through and UV map it. Now, if I try to smooth it out and UV map it, what I'm going to end up with is about 40 edges to move and sew instead of 5 edges to move and sew. So I'm going to UV map this the same way I UV mapped my cereal box. I'm going to right click and hold, go to Persp/UV Texture Editor, so I have both windows open. I go to Modify, Freeze Transformations, so that when it lays out correctly. I go to Create UVs, Automatic Mapping, and you can see that it unfolds my table. I'm going to unfold the table and move and sew the edges. Okay, and there's my simple table layout. Got to make sure that all the UVs fit inside the square. Back in object mode, I need to change the color. This is all review. You should have done this all with the cereal box. Creating a Lambert and go Image, Create PSD Networks, double click Color, hit Create, and it's going to bring up my table into Photoshop. So now what I want to do is I want to get a nice wood texture to put on my table. Well, this is where I rely on the internet again. Now, if you're depending on your level of what you're trying to accomplish, it is completely acceptable to go to outside resources to download textures. You know, if I'm a professional and I'm making a table, a professional table, I have every right to go out with my camera, take some pictures of some fine wood, and use those pictures. That might be a waste of time. If I need to get this table out, sometimes you can go to a royalty-free website. A lot of times they're paid websites, so you have to pay to use the photos. But if somebody else has already taken a picture of a table, it is perfectly acceptable to use that picture as long as you have the digital rights to do so. So what we're going to do is, this is a website called CG Textures. It has varying levels of membership and varying levels of royalty-free images. Some of the images, if you wanted to use professionally, you would have to pay for. That's just part of the copyright world that we live in. I'll go on a rant on that some other day. But for right now, we're in education, so we can use a lot of these photos absolutely free of charge without breaking any copyright agreements. So in CG Textures, I want a wood picture, a picture of wood. Now I like going to CG Textures rather than Google Images because I could type wood into Google Images and Garfield cartoons will come up, pornography will come up, pictures of my girlfriend's car will come up, you know, whatever it is. I don't have a girlfriend, I'm married. But you understand, when you go into Google Images, you don't get a very refined search. You get all these weird tags. So in here, I know that I want wood. So I'm going to come in and click on wood. Then with wood, I've got all sorts of different kinds of wood. If I wanted to have a burned table, I could do burned table. I don't want burned wood. I want fine wood, because this is a table. It looks nice, right? Anybody that's worked in wood shop knows that, you know, wood is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So then I just find a picture of wood that I like for my table. I like this picture right here. This is a great picture. So I'm going to download it. Now, you're more than welcome to use our login, which is AnimClass, and the password is password. But realize I only get 15 megabytes a day. 15 megabytes a day is a ton for one individual person. But if everybody in the class is downloading a 1 megabyte file, that means I only get one. That means only 15 people in the class get to download a file. So you're welcome to create your own free account, or you can use mine. But I'm going to use this small wood right there. Downloaded the file. It's going right into my downloads. Back into Photoshop, I go File, Place. Select the wood. And I'm going to have to stretch it out a little bit. Now, a purist is going to worry about making sure that that when they do this, when they bring in the wood, that the grain it matches correctly, and that that the edges, everything folds nice. I'm not going to worry myself about that too much. In fact, I'm going to leave a little hole on the underside of the table because I will never see that table. All I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try to stretch this wood so that the grain matches what I might find in a table. One of the #1 issues that I have with students is they don't worry about scale. Okay, and when we start our room here in about 2 minutes, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about because I'll give you some examples. But for scale, as far as a table is concerned, that actually looks pretty good to me for what the wood grain on a table might look like. So I save the file, come back into Maya, and it automatically refreshed for me. So when I come in and hit 6, you can see that that actually looks fairly decent as far as wood grain is concerned. It looks like a decent table. If I get in close and it's a little bit pixelated, which this is, I may go back into Photoshop, shrink the file down a little bit. Now, luckily, this is a tileable image. That's such a weird word. Tileable image. So I can duplicate the image. And I'll show you how to do this more effectively in a minute. I can duplicate the image and bring it up. Just make some minor adjustments on the thing so that when it hits this edge, it looks perfect. You look at that, and that looks like one picture. It doesn't look like 2 pictures put together. So I'm just merging these layers. I'm going to duplicate this layer one more time. Move it over. Make sure that those seams line up ever so perfect. Just like that. Okay, I save the file, come back to Maya, select the file, refresh the scene, and let me see, is that... it doesn't look a whole lot different, but I'll stick with it. And you can see that the underside is got this big gray square, but who cares? Nobody in the world is going to see it. Except for anybody watching this video. Ah, nuts. Okay, the last thing that I want to do. So that's a simple way to just make a table. Now, it doesn't, to be honest with you, it doesn't look very good. It's square. It's not very believable. So I want to use a tool called the bevel tool, which will just kind of make a nice smooth edge. So I go Edit Mesh, Bevel. When I do that, you notice that it kind of rounds the corners a little bit, but not super good. It's made it kind of triangular there. But if I go to the Polybevel 1 in the Attributes Editor, I can change the offset so I can make that smaller or larger, and I can increase the segments. And as I do that, now I have a nice, smooth table that looks pretty.
I did that and I got this really blocky. Like, it looks like a...
Right. When you do it the first time, when you do that Polybevel 1, which is right here, Polybevel 1, if you go into the offset and you don't turn up the segments, it is going to look really blocky.
Right.
So you need to make sure you increase the segments and change the offset a little bit. You can make it really round. For me, that's kind of stupid looking. You know, it doesn't look very realistic. So I'm going to come to the offset and just turn the offset down a little. I just want to round the corners. Okay, and right there I have a beautiful, lovely table. Now I'm going to make a room. Okay, making a room, Really simple. I grab a cube, make it big.
Really big.
Make it the size of a room. I right click, go into face mode. I delete one face, two face, and I have a room. Now I have a room that has the fourth wall gone. Now, I want to work on scale a little. Remember, one of the biggest issues that my students have is scale. I don't want a kitchen that, if I had my ceiling that was this tall, is that believable? No.
If you're in a museum, maybe.
If you were in a house that had a ceiling that tall, it's probably going to be a vaulted ceiling, and it's going to angle at the end, so you're going to have something that looks like this instead. Okay? And I'm okay with that. That would be fine. In fact, you know what? This is the first class that I've ever done a vaulted ceiling in, and for the sake of the video, we're going to keep it. So I'm just going to try to scale this and make this corner, make that look like a realistic size room. It's a little small right now. Maybe I'll come into this edge, this edge, and this edge, and just pull it out a little bit. That's just going to make the room a little bit longer. And maybe I need to come into this edge, and this edge, and pull that edge a little bit, and try to make that a little bit better. So there's my kitchen. There's a good kitchen scene. Now, right now it's just gray. There's not a whole lot going on here. So I am going to take this into my UV texture editor. I'm going to go to Modify, Freeze Transformations, Create UVs, Automatic Mapping. Now, I've got a little, it's a little weird right now because of my vaulted ceiling wall, but I'm going to sew this edge right here, sew that edge together. Okay, so now I know that this is this wall and this is this wall. And then attached to this wall right here, I need to attach the floor. And then I'm going to actually attach the ceiling right here. And we're not even going to worry about the ceiling because we're not going to see, well, yeah, we are going to see the ceiling, and I will texture that. So now what I want to do, just so that I can try to wrap my brain around this a little bit better, this is the wall, this is a wall, this is the ceiling, and this is the floor. I want to make sure I get the right faces. So this is the floor. So if I want the floor, typically what I want to do is I want to make sure that the floor is sitting the right direction. So I'm just going to use this little Rotate UVs tool. And now the floor is on the floor. That wall is right there, and that the next wall is right there, and the ceiling's right there. So I'm going to take these UVs, and I'm going to move it. Oops, I need to make sure I select them all. And I'm going to move it down. Scale it down a little, move it down, go to object mode, right click, assign a new material, make it a Lambert, and I'm going to take this, go to image, create PSD network, take the color, hit create, move it into Photoshop. Now I've got a little bit of a challenge here. I've got to try to make this look like a room. So I'm gonna do the floor first, and I wanted to show you scale, how important scale can be. So back at cgtextures.com, I'm gonna look for on the front page. So let me just go to the front page, if it'll let me. Go to the front page, and you look at that, and I have this place called tiles. Okay, so I'm going to take some tiles, and I want to get a nice, good kitchen floor. To do that, I probably want to do plain tiles. I could do ornate tiles. The problem with ornate tiles is they're more for bathrooms and less for kitchens. So let me go back just one step, and I'm going to do plain tiles. And I want to find a tile that looks like a floor. These all look like ceilings. That looks like the bathroom at your local gym, which is kind of scary. But I want to find a nice kitchen floor type tile. I've been doing the same. Well, this tile will work. I like this. I'm going to call this good. This is similar to the kind of tile that I have in my house. So I'm going to grab this tile, download it, back into Photoshop, File, and Place. Place that file, and there's my floor. Can anybody right away tell me what's going to be wrong with this?
You don't have
I only have 4 tiles for my floor. But I cannot tell you how often this happens in this assignment. That somebody just grabs a tile picture like that, they come in, you know, they reload the Photoshop image and they call it good. Okay, that looks terrible. Doesn't look realistic at all. Okay, it looks like 4 ginormous tiles. So what you have to do is you actually have to spend some time tweaking this a little. Now, one great thing about cgtextures.com is if it says right here tiled, what that means is it's tileable, meaning that you can put the edges next to each other and it's going to match. It's going to look like a tile. Now, I know it's kind of ironic because it's a tile that we're tiling, but it works for the wallpaper too. So I need to change the size of this, and I want to make the kitchen floor be about the size of a kitchen floor. This is going to take a little bit of work. I might come in, grab this, size it down a little, save the file, come back into Maya, reload the file, and look. Now, does that look right? You tell me. It's a little big still? You think it's a little big? Great. Let me go in, change the size, I'll make it a little bit smaller, come in, save the file, come back, reload the file. I realize this seems complicated, but the more you do it, it's just going to be second nature. Okay, that looks a little bit right. I'm okay with that. I think that looks about the right size for a tile. Okay, now we have the arduous task of repeating these tiles over and over to fill up the entire floor. It seems unsurmountable. It seems like it's going to take forever, but really we can do it fairly quickly. And again, these seem semi-complicated, but the more you do it, the faster you get. So I'm going to duplicate the layer. In Photoshop, I right-click and hit Duplicate Layer. You can also do copy and paste. I just find that right-clicking and hitting Duplicate Layer is easy. I duplicate the layer, and it creates a duplicate. I then use my arrow keys to try to line it up, make that look pretty. Then I select the 2 layers and merge them together. In a sense, what I've done is now I've created one image. I'm going to duplicate this image out. So I go File, Duplicate Layer. I'm sorry, not File, just right-click, Duplicate Layer. And now I have another set of tiles to work with. Now, one thing that you're going to want to watch when you're laying tiles out like this is you're going to want to watch for patterns. If you've actually done tile in somebody's home, when you pull out the tiles, if you repeat the pattern over and over again, it actually looks kind of stupid. So if you notice that on this, even though that there's no seams there that I can see, you can see that the pattern is repeated here, 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 here. So what you do to try to vary the pattern a little bit, and so now when you go home, you can tell your mom and dad that you learned how to lay tile. But to vary the pattern a little bit, I'm just going to rotate this and move it in. And now when I move it in and try to and line up the seams, I have a variant. The pattern varies a little bit. Not a lot. You can still see some of those patterns see through, but I'm going to call it good. I'm going to merge those layers, duplicate the layer, move it over, and I'm actually going to rotate this one more time because I'm just trying to get it to look a little bit different. Oh, that looks stupid. For the purposes of this assignment, I'll just leave the patterns where they are. Okay, merge the 2. Duplicate the layer. I realize it's very tedious. And a lot of times getting the right detail is tedious, but this is what I'm doing. I'm just working these. I'm working this seam, trying to get it to look right. Perfect. Okay, I merged the tile, merged the layers. This is probably a poor choice to use for my kitchen, but it's already done. Whoops, what did I do? Apparently I merged them, but I didn't duplicate them. Okay, I pull this down. Move it over a little. There we go. Gonna merge these layers. Duplicate it. And move it over. Now, I'm going outside the white lines. Does that matter?
Of course.
Okay, why would it not matter?
Because it's only going to use what's in the white.
Exactly. You're not going to see it. Now, if I went over top of this white line, it would matter. But going over top of this line and this line doesn't make a difference. This stuff won't be seen. So let me save this. And I hate this floor, but, you know, it is what it is. So go back into Maya. Reload the file. Oh, okay. When I'm in my kitchen, it looks all right. You can see the pattern, but for when we actually take our picture, we're probably only going to see that much of it. Maybe even less. Maybe that much of it. We're good. I like that. We're going to call it good. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to work on the wall. So back at cgtextures.com, I've really enjoyed on this CG Textures. I've really enjoyed using this wallpaper. Under paper, 70s paper wallpaper, 70s wallpaper. It's been awesome to make these terrible wallpapers. And if you look at some of my other files, you can see that I've used them. Because we have the vaulted ceiling, that's going to pose an extra special little bit of time. And just because I don't want you guys to sit and wait for me, I'm going to just use a plaster texture. But realize you could use a wallpaper texture following the same technique that I followed with the floor and get a really nice wallpaper as well. But instead, I'm going to go at CG Textures. I'm going to look up plaster. And with plaster, I may want to find a nice, decent color. If I wanted a real creepy room, I could have this leaking plaster. Maybe some stucco. White plaster, white dirty plaster, white worn plaster. Let's look at colored plaster and no. We'll use this guy. Okay, I'm going to download the small version because I really don't need anything huge. I go back into Photoshop, File, Place, find my plaster, and again. Just like everything else, if your scale is off, the whole thing's going to look stupid. So I'm going to come in. You think it'll need to be smaller? All right, we'll make it smaller. Kind of come in there.
Is this one tileable or no?
It said it was, so let's find out. Right click. Oh, I think John's right. I think it might need to be smaller even still. So right click, duplicate the layer. Bring it over. That looks good. I'm not gonna worry as much about looks, just because we're kind of now wanting to try to hurry a little bit, make it give you guys. This does not look tileable, but again, I'm trying to hurry up so that you have more time to work. In fact, maybe I'll finish this later. But you would just, in a sense, you're just going to do the same thing, and then ultimately you're going to end up reloading the file, saving it, and there's your kitchen. Okay, so I'll finish this up later. But what I want to try to get to at the end of the day is to get this all put together. Okay, if you've already built a kitchen, it's not hard to just build a box around the kitchen to try to do this with. It's all up to you. So we're going to go ahead and stop this right now. I'll stop this fun recording.